Ilya, welcome to the Jesse T Show. How are you?
What's up, Jesse? Good.
I'm doing good, man. How's everything going with you?
I'm rolling, man. I'm on the roll.
That's awesome. Rolling's good. So today's all about you. We want to tell the viewers about your story and where you came from and things that have helped you in life and in your business so that we can kind of give it back to the audience and see if we can help them out in the same kind of business ventures that they're going through. So take it away, your story, who you are, where you're from, what you're doing today.
Well, today, basically, I work with professionals like real estate agents, interior designers, builders, occasionally architects and other professionals, providing them with media solutions like photography, video, some drone footage, and I also do professional headshots and I shoot events.
Okay.
So that's kind of what I'm doing today. And I've been doing that full time for 5 years.
Okay.
And before that, I was a real estate agent. But just to mention, that was in Florida, and we moved to Atlanta 2 years ago. And I kind of had to start from the ground. I only knew one person here 2 years ago, and now I'm pretty much booked up with sometimes weeks.
It's a good feeling to have going from beginning to where you're seeing a lot of traction. So how was your foray or introduction into being independent on the media and the production side, coming from real estate to now doing what you're doing now? How was that transition for you?
It was actually a fairly smooth transition. I've been an entrepreneur pretty much for the last 15 years. I was in corporate for a couple of years when I lived in Russia, in Moscow and then in St. Petersburg. And after that, when I moved here, you come here a fresh immigrant, there's not a whole lot of corporate jobs available to you right away.
Sure.
And I wasn't sure if entrepreneurship was something that I really wanted to do. I wasn't sure if I was cut out for this, but I was kind of thrown to it, into it. And
Sure.
I had to kind of make things happen. Starting out with just doing some handyman work, handyman jobs. I've done everything from building fences to installing windows
Sure.
and painting, that kind of stuff. And then I bought my first business, which was a transportation business, medical waste transporter business.
Okay.
I did that for a couple of years, and I sold it for twice what I
Congratulations.
bought it, which was really good.
That's the goal.
That was really good. And at that time, I started selling semi-trucks, big 18-wheelers.
Okay.
And the market in Russia was really hot, so I kind of explored it. A friend of mine wanted to bring one American semi-truck,
Okay.
because Russians, they really like those big American trucks there. And but that didn't work out. Somehow he flunked out, but I still had the idea, so I started contacting every dealer in Russia, and finally found a couple of clients who were interested in me shipping them 1 or 2 trucks. And
Okay.
started out with 2, and then fast forward a couple of years ahead, we were selling about 15, 20, 25 trucks a month.
Sounds like a lot. Yeah.
It was a lot. It was a lot, not just in numbers, but it was just a lot to handle on my own. So It was
Sure.
very hard.
Balancing everything with the business.
It was very hard. It was putting some strain on family as well. And, I'm kind of a workaholic by nature.
Sure.
So putting a lot of effort and time into that was definitely wasn't easy. But, we did really well financially. It was really good. We made a lot of money. Until 2008 happened.
Right. Market
And
downturn.
the market crashed,
Yeah.
and obviously most of our buyers overseas, because I was doing the wholesale part here, working with Penske and Ryder and big fleets.
Sure.
And I would buy their fleets, ship them to Baltimore, load them on the ship, take them to Russia, and then I had a retail guy there. And then 2008 happened, basically from selling like 25 trucks in September and maybe 20 in October, we went to like selling only 1 truck in November of 2008, and then
Wow.
0 in December.
Okay.
And so, of course, we had expenses. Like, right, you have to maintain the yard, you have to pay for shipping, for customs, and all that. So instead of making money, we're all of a sudden spending money,
Yeah.
bleeding money.
Yeah.
And another problem was all of our buyers there, not all, but maybe like 90% were financing their purchases. And financing was just stopped. It just wasn't available anymore.
Money kind of went dry.
Yeah, so we went to strictly cash buyers, and cash buyers became smart, and they didn't want to pay full price, and we had to deeply discount everything. It took me about a year to get rid of all my inventory,
Wow.
and leaving about $4 million.
So unbelievable to go from where you were pumping out 20-25 per month to where now it became stale, and even you had to like liquidate at some point, kind of sell the business. And
Yes, it was kind of painful. A year before, I looked at my 1040. I was just self-employed by myself and making close to $400 a year. And then next year, like making nothing, losing money, it was really painful. The problem at that time was that Nobody really taught me entrepreneurship.
Sure.
I just had to learn, even though my dad is a successful businessman. But he was always busy with his own work, never time to teach me anything. So I had to, even though you have business education, you can have MBA or whatever, but you still have to kind of get
the experience.
Yeah, get your hands dirty, get in there and learn it on your own. And I made a lot of mistakes along the way.
Sure.
And I deeply over-leveraged myself, even though on paper it seemed like I made a lot of money, but all that money, basically I took out and threw it back into business. Into business because we were hungry, we wanted to grow it.
Yep.
And that was a mistake. We didn't have any money put away, and it just took about a year to liquidate and just kind of get whatever we could back. But it was definitely losses. Plus the relationships there, basically I'm still waiting for some money that I never got paid, some of the units, and going legal way through court and whatever is just not going to prove successful, just not the kind of amounts time to spend.
Going through that growth period and transition, and you're learning how to be an entrepreneur, and I'm sure there's some things you picked up from your dad and the world without knowing, and some things that were innate, just kind of that you learned. So what were some of the things going from the transportation business and a lot that you had going on, and then moving into a different way of life and a different way of business? Like, how was that transition for you, and how did you make that move?
It was painful. It was extremely painful. Obviously, we still had a little bit of money saved up, that's when I thought maybe I'm a sucky entrepreneur. Maybe I need to go into corporate, and I started looking at different job postings and stuff, and it just didn't feel right. And then again, you got to remember, it was 2008. Like, people were, firing employees. Sure. Nobody was
downsizing left and right. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was no jobs. So I thought, well, what's my next step? What else can I do? The trucking industry was pretty much dead, not just in Russia and U.S. It was really bad. Like nobody was buying trucks. Everybody was selling stuff cheap, and so somebody told me, hey, you're good with people. Why don't you go get a real estate license and sell homes? And I thought about it. I'm like, well, okay, sure. I went. That was already 2009, so I went to a real estate school.
Which is still a tough time to go in the real estate.
It was a terrible time. We had three people in the real estate class. I'm like, what happened? And basically, I got passed my real estate exam on the first try. It was fairly easy, and got my license and joined a brokerage on the beach in St. Pete.
Okay.
And sold homes there. I mean, I did okay. What I learned very quick is that what the brokers promised you, what they told you you're going to get, is not always true.
Not the same as what was reality.
Exactly. And the techniques for sales are so old school, just basically knocking on doors and hitting the road, pavement.
Outdated, and almost, not that it was you specifically, but you feel kind of like salesy, or like it doesn't feel natural.
Exactly, yeah. Sense. Just cold calling and stuff. And it was just, I'm not a natural salesman. Like, I like the B2B, like wholesale stuff, but retail, I was never great at it.
Sure.
Even though I was in sales like all my life, but I always thought, when my company moved me to St. Petersburg, Russia, to open a sales office, I almost thought, like, maybe I should just go into the logistical part, into the operations management, which is, I thought, probably where I probably would do a lot more. But I think I'm grateful for the fact that I was kind of forced into sales, and I did okay with that, but it just wasn't something that I loved.
Sure.
And so when I was in real estate, now fast forward a few years, 2009, 2010, you could literally go through some neighborhoods in St. Pete with grass up to your waist, and every other home would be like either short sale or foreclosure.
Wow.
Builders were going out of business like crazy. And
so a lot of unfinished homes, a lot of loans weren't getting paid, and
people were upside down on their homes. Everybody was upside down. Selling was hard. So basically, for 3 years, we were doing is dealing with foreclosures and short sales, negotiating with lenders on the phone every day. It just wasn't a fun kind of stuff.
Sure.
And but during that time, I switched a couple of brokerages. Went to independent one. We started our own team, had about 4 or 5 people.
Okay.
And then we brought our team to Remax. And it was so funny. Like, it's a great brokerage, right? Great brand and everything. But the presentation, the soliciting presentation that they came to us to get us to their broker, it was on paper, and it wasn't even color, I think. It was just... And I was looking like, what am I doing?
You weren't overwhelmed.
Like, I'm like, if that's how they solicit agents into their brokerage, what is their listing presentation?
Where are the other cracks in the game?
What's the marketing going to be like? And at that time, I already had all my marketing tools in place, kind of on my own. But I thought, you know what? There's a lot of great realtors in that team. And my whole idea of switching to that larger brokerage downtown was more to rub shoulders with professionals that were already making it.
Gotcha.
And because I thought, I could learn something from them. Maybe I'll get some crumbs falling into my hands.
Sure.
And so we started doing that, and we did okay. And again, I made a lot of mistakes along the way. I saw like Chris Smith with Curator right now. He was really big back then with another company. They were selling software for realtors, CRMs, top producer and stuff. And I saw where it was going. Like social was really big. 2008, remember, Facebook just started.
Right.
Blogging just started. So
all was so new.
Right. It was new, and I was betting heavily on that. And I went and spent $10,000 on all gear and equipment, camera and stuff.
Wow.
And it was expensive, and soon I realized, like, this stuff is great, but that's not what's going to make you money. You still got to go and sell. You still got to go and build relationships.
It's all about people. Yep.
Right. And I was just playing with my toys and stuff, and it generated some traction and generated some good marketing pieces, and I was pretty consistent on blogging. And we became very quickly like a #1 real estate blog website in Tampa Bay area.
Wow, okay.
We were getting lots of leads that way. And the problem was I really enjoyed generating leads in business, but I didn't want to go and close them.
Sure.
So I would push them to some other salesperson, other salesperson that we had, and they weren't doing a great job. So we weren't making as much money as we really should have been. And but another luxury team noticed what I was doing at Remax.
They saw what you were putting out in your content you were creating.
Right. Yeah, and they saw in the local magazine, Business Insider, I think they posted they interviewed me and they posted something. So she saw that and she invited me over and said, "Hey, I need a marketing person and a team manager." And I agreed. I joined because at that time I was realizing that I was actually liking the media production and all the marketing, lead generation stuff a lot more than actually selling real estate.
Gotcha. Okay.
I mean, I did it.
Yeah.
Still sold a bunch of homes.
But you started to find your niche within the creation and the marketing, and not so much the sales.
Yeah. Correct. I saw the need, and I saw that a lot of realtors, especially older realtors, they just didn't know how to do that. Needed help with that, and so I helped them, build a website and work with social and create good media products, videos and stuff. We started really pushing video really hard.
Sure.
The good thing about that team was that every listing they had was $1 million plus listing, so that gave me opportunity to really create some beautiful images. I had to kind of up my game. I took some classes and learned how to do interior.
Grow through a comfort zone, like you maybe you had to learn and be uncomfortable, but that helped you kind of get forged in fire and become stronger.
Yeah. So I did that, and I kind of took classes, improved my technique, really polished it. And then after a few months, we kind of split ways, and I decided, I'll keep my real estate license, maybe do some referrals.
Yeah. But
I'm going to start building my real estate photography business.
What year was this?
That was 2003.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 2013.
2013. Okay.
Yes, 5 years ago, July. And I left Remax.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, right? I left Remax. Basically, I just hung my license at an independent broker.
Okay.
And just because I was already in the real estate...
you had contacts.
I knew a lot of realtors at that time. So it was fairly easy to start building my business. And also, one thing I started while I was there, I started a Facebook group. It was a closed Facebook group. It was called Tampa Bay Real Estate Agents. And right now, it's still the largest real estate
really, even
group.
to this day.
To this day, we have probably 5,000 members. I think.
Wow. Do you actively participate in it still, or
some little bit? Okay. I have other what do you call them? People that are monitors,
like administrators,
admins that help me out. And the key was to make that group really quality stuff. And so we would not allow just anybody in the group. It was only for real estate agents.
Sure.
And initially I allowed some vendors in, and no listings were allowed to be posted on there. Because the problem with realtors was everybody just, social, so just another place where I can push my listing.
Right.
But you know what? There's already Zillow. There's already Trulia. There's already a Realtor.com. A buyer knows where to find the listings.
Yeah.
But what I thought realtors needed is some place where they could collaborate, where they could discuss business issues.
Yep.
And that's what it started really to become. People would ask questions about foreclosures, about short sale, how to do this, how to do that, asking for referrals from vendors.
Gotcha.
And
that's really a community that you built.
Exactly.
And best practices sharing and how to do this and what to maybe use for a different tool in your tool belt.
Yep. And And then eventually we had to kick the vendors out, basically, because it was just, vendors would come in because they tasted the group, like, ooh, it's a great pool of
get all
clients.
salesy in there.
So now it's just realtors, and at that time I was a vendor, and it's my group, and I'm like, I'm so tempted to put something on there. But of course, people knew I was, at that time, I was the admin of the group, and people saw what I was doing, and privately we could still connect, and that has really proven a great group. And then I started another group. I had an idea. I said, well, you know what? A lot of times realtors, they will go get a listing, but the pictures are not ready yet, and it's a coming soon listing, which will maybe hit the market in 3 or 4 days.
Sure.
And I thought, well, let's start a closed Facebook group for real estate agents where they can post their pre-list listings and a picture just with their phone. If they just want to, if they're there, take a picture of their phone and say, hey, coming soon in 3 days, waiting on professional pictures. This one, 123 Maple Street, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, is coming up. It's going to be listed at
Start promoting it, talking it up.
I've had so many situations where listings would actually be sold before they hit the market just because agents saw each other's listing coming up.
It's amazing.
And there's several thousand people in that group too. And it's a closed group only for real estate agents. You have to...
Specifically in Tampa, Florida, or is it nationwide
in Tampa,
now?
Florida.
Okay.
Well, now that I moved to Atlanta, I started it here too.
Good for you.
So it's called Atlanta Pre-List Hub, and again, it's only for real estate agents. If you're a realtor, you can join.
Yep.
It's on Facebook. Request to join.
How has that been building that Atlanta portion?
Honestly, I just started not too long ago, and I think we have a few hundred members.
Okay.
But I've just been swamped with my business. I haven't been able to monitor it closely, so I'm probably going to need to start getting some help from fellow people. So so I did that. We did that in Tampa. I did okay. So I did after about 3 years. I built it up pretty well, where I was pretty booked. And but my wife's from Alabama. She's a Southern girl, and that's where her parents still live. And we decided to move to back to the South, just because to be closer to her parents, and so we decided to make that step.
So you've transitioned to where you are in Atlanta, and now you are the business. From what I've seen, I'm admirable of what you're doing, because I love seeing successful entrepreneurs grow, and you're doing really well. And so if we could talk about what you're doing today for your business and the types of clients that you're working with and the fun stuff that you're doing with your company.
So basically, when we left Tampa to come here, I've decided to just kind of let my real estate license go. Just, all right,
I gotta put on the timer. You ready?
Yeah.
We'll do it again. And 3, 2, 1. So you've transitioned back to where you're here in Atlanta full time, and I'm very proud and admirable of what you're doing with your company as an entrepreneur, seeing somebody else build their business and be so super successful. Talk to the folks about how your business is today and the types of clients that you're working with and things that are going on with your company now.
Right. So after we left Tampa Bay area, that was kind of a tough decision. We knew that we'd have to start from zero. So, but we sold our house. The market rebounded, so we made a little money on that, and we had some savings, and that helped us to kind of pay off all the debt. So we were debt free, which was quite amazing. And I decided that I need to focus on one thing, right? So I let my real estate license just expire. I wasn't selling anymore, and I thought, I'm just going to 100% focus on what I was doing as far as real estate photography and video. And so when we moved here, we rented a house. We found a place in Eckworth near Kennesaw area. And again, I didn't know anybody. I knew one realtor that helped us find a house eventually.
So you were building from scratch.
So from scratch, I sold my accounts in Tampa Bay. And so we just started focusing on growing that business. So whatever marketing skills I had, I just started printed some brochures, hit the road in my car, and go to every real estate office, Keller Williams, Remax, Atlanta Communities, and I'd go a few times, get rejection. I hate it.
Sure.
Everybody hates rejection.
No one really likes it, yeah. Some people will tell you they do, but deep down they may not like it.
Yeah. So then, then I get, there were actually some referrals from Tampa, from agents who had fellow friend agents here in Atlanta. And I would start with 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then just kind of referrals started building up, and it's quite amazing to see the growth. First year was a little bit tough. I actually had to go and work with another photographer for a little bit.
Gotcha.
For a few months until I was kind of building my own clientele on the side here too.
Okay.
And then eventually we split ways after about 8 months, and I 100% focused on my own business. And so I figured, I had to offer something that other photographers couldn't offer or didn't. So I started kind of like add other services to it. I got a drone, so hey, Mr. Seller, we're taking pictures. By the way, your house is kind of on the hill. Let me take some drone pictures. That'd awesome. Be a little bit extra. And I started adding like really polished, nice video.
Okay.
And everybody now, is on Instagram. They want 1 minute, quick, cool, dynamic video. Yep. So I developed a package for that. I started offering headshots. I took a course with Peter Hurley, and he's like this famous headshot photographer in New York, and I learned his technique. That's awesome. And I started, basically, when I work with a realtor, I say, hey, your headshot looks like you took it back in the 80s. I think you need to update
you need a current one, at least one every year or two.
It's amazing how many agents, you show up and you look at their business card and you think it's either their daughter or they took it like 15
years
ago.
It's 10 or 15 years old,
so exactly. So I started doing that, and now I every month I usually have 1 or 2 headshot sessions where I go set up in the conference room and do headshots.
Just for like a full day, all the people in the business?
Exactly, and a lot of real estate offices, obviously, because I work with a lot of realtors. So you're going to have to kind of diversify, because there's going to be times when real estate may be a little bit slow, so you can kind of focus on headshots where you
multiple revenue streams.
Exactly, right. Yeah. And then I shoot events also, so I'll go and shoot events, and then now that I know, I build a relationship with some brokers. They already know me. They invite me to come and like, hey, we're going to have a Christmas party.
That's
Can you
awesome.
come? We need like a 2-minute really cool video that we can promote to solicit to invite more agents to our brokerage. So I work with them like that. So yeah, that's kind of the main focus right now.
You're doing a lot of really great things. Quick plug for Ilya. Ilya helped me with my wife and I with our investment property, and the treatment he did on the home with the drone and the walkthrough and the music that was set to it was almost like MTV Crib style is how I attribute it to, but unbelievable work. And so speaking on that, I've seen you do a lot of cool things.
Did it sell?
Yeah.
It sold.
It did. We just sold it. Congratulations. Thanks. And so about 45 days on the market, so not too bad. And so with, I'm sure that was like the reason why we sold it, so thank you. But with the current clientele that I see you work with now, you're doing a lot of high-end, really cool stuff. Right. And I'm seeing places in Georgia that I didn't know existed, like Buckhead specifically, and there's a lot of like these huge mansion-type stuff. And so how's it been working in those environments and dealing with those types of caliber of clients?
Man, I don't know. I've shot probably 2,000 properties by now, so I've been in all types of homes, anything from like 30,000 little dump flip to a $20 million mansion somewhere in Buckhead.
So you could do either end.
Yeah. I'll shoot. I'll shoot anything. I don't discriminate. So I'm fine with shooting a small home, and it's client pays the money they want. I'll shoot a $200,000 house. And a realtor still makes, 3%, on one side, if they make maybe double side, but they're still making enough money to afford $200, $300, $400 marketing piece that's not only going to help them sell the listing, but it's also something that they can use in their next presentation when they work with. And that's what I think a lot of agents don't understand, is that the pieces that they're buying, it's not just for that listing. They can use that in the listing presentation when they say, I'm a nice buyer, because 10 other agents don't have that. All they have is a little page with a little picture.
It shows, it separates them, and it shows their book of business and the work that they've done, and they can stand on it.
Right.
And as far as in your business, a client mishap or mistake that's changed the way that you do business for the better?
I'm trying to not over leverage myself too much, like just kind of cash basis. When I sold trucks, I definitely did that under pressure from others, like from a partner, and I maybe didn't want to, but I allowed it to happen. I allowed others to influence me, and that kind of caused a problem, right, later on. I had $1 million worth of inventory, and when everything stops, that is there. It's not in the bank account. Most of that is myself.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
And so that is where I'm trying to be really careful.
Making sure you protect your time, especially with your business, your family, and things you want to do, and then the power of saying no.
Yeah.
And you can be polite about saying no, but like if you just can't do something, don't.
Definitely, establishing healthy boundaries is very important. Yeah.
In terms of I know you don't have a lot of time in terms of like business and personal, but any current passion projects or hobbies that you're looking at or working on?
Honestly, I made a conscious decision to just kind of abandon most of my hobbies just for the sake of my family and my business. That's what I'm focusing on right now. I sold my guitars, I sold my boat, I sold my wakeboard, I sold my snowboard.
Oh my goodness, so you're all in.
I'm all in, yeah, and so basically my hobbies now are just whatever my two daughters' hobbies are, so we like painting. I like to paint, actually. We sit down and paint a little bit. We'll play games or whatever, but yeah, no super huge hobbies right now.
If you could be remembered for one thing or a quote that you live by or that you embody, what would that sound like? So if you could be remembered for one thing,
oh right,
or live by a quote type of thing, what
legacy,
is that?
Legacy. Yeah. I don't know. I honestly, I don't want to leave a bad legacy, right? Nobody wants to be, you don't want your children Hitler's relatives later on probably. It hurt them, right? Because they were
right. The name carried
villain, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, I don't want to leave that for my children. But I don't think don't worry too much about leaving any kind of legacy after me. I'm focused on today. Like, what can I do today? Yeah. What can I do for my family? So I'm focusing on my family, I'm focusing on my work, and I'm focusing on helping people.
It's a thought process I adhere to. It's called memento mori, and it's remember that you will die. And it sounds morbid, but it's really that you live the most today. And so Marcus Aurelius back in the day, he would walk and he'd have somebody about 5 or 10 paces behind him, and they would whisper to him, remember, you're only a man, because they didn't want his head getting too big, and he couldn't lead the way he was going to lead. So it's definitely the same sentiment of make the most of today, and the legacy will probably take care of itself.
Yeah, so. Yeah, just kind of focusing on making sure my kids don't grow up jerks, and that I help a lot of people.
Leave the world a better place.
And I really think it's very important once you gain some success to kind of share that. I love sharing my expertise with whoever I can. I do real estate photography classes. I run school of photography every couple of months. It sells out. And people ask me, like, why are you sharing your tricks? Why are you sharing your expertise? They can be your competitors. But, the market is huge. There's plenty of market, and I love helping. Somebody helped me years ago. I like to do the same thing. And, whether I can help somebody financially, emotionally, spiritually, that all I think is very important.
Well, you're a good dude, man, and I appreciate you taking the time to be on the show today. And as far as that mentality, it's just abundance versus scarcity, right? Like it's if you have something that you can give back and help people with, why not do it versus hold that back because that doesn't serve anyone. So
exactly.
You get a great way to do that. So this is your time. This is where you can go ahead and tell people, anything that you're working on, ways to connect with you, but definitely share your information and tell the folks, what you got going on, how to connect with you.
The most important thing, if you want to do business in America, you got to learn English.
Right? That's a good
So that was like, this is my second language, right? This is not my native language. I had to learn it. I remember the first time I came to the States, I was 15 years old and I could barely speak English. And I realized, you got to build relationships. You got to kind of try to assimilate, maybe not fully culturally or whatever, but you got to assimilate with what's around you. And that really helps me. I always try to soak in information, like people's life. I want to know about people's lives, what they do, building relationships, no matter what kind of industries. Like yesterday, I was having coffee with an interior designer when we talked about interior design, and eventually maybe I'll shoot for her. Eventually maybe I'll hire her to design my house. Just being open-minded like that. That's really the only advice I can give.
That's awesome. And if you want to tell the folks that are watching how to get in touch with you, website, social media, all that stuff, contact information so they can reach out to you.
Yeah, sure. Real easy. Real big on Instagram. It's Atlanta Photographer with _in the middle. Atlanta _photographer. That's my handle on Instagram. And basically from there you can see everything else. I got my website link right there, globalensmedia.com. And that's all you need.
Ilya, it's been amazing. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, sure.
Folks, thanks for viewing. Catch us next week for the next episode of The Jesse T Show, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care.